I have seen the show. It's like one of the greatest shows out there. Everyone should watch it.
I have only seen the television show. I have never read the comics. I only started watching the show actually after the first and second seasons were already done. I just caught up with them all on Netflix.
I have absolutely seen The Walking Dead before. It is my favorite show.
I've seen both. I've actually read the comics and read the TV show.
I have done both.
No, I haven't seen the comics yet, and I will be reading them later.
I've not had the chance to read the comics yet, but I definitely plan on reading them this summer.
I like to say I like them both.
I didn't know about the comics until I watched the show.
The comics was a little better because in the TV show they tend to downplay all of the major characters, and that was rather disappointing.
The comics are a lot darker, more gruesome, and has a little bit more detail with each individual character, where they're from and how they act.
My favorite season would have to be probably season 2.
I think I could tell you what my least favorite season was. Actually, the newest season. I thought it was my least.
If I had to pick my favorite season, it would definitely be a tie between season 1 and season 3.
My favorite season was the second one on Herschel's farm.
Season 2, when they find the farm.
Season 1.
I'm always to come with any show. Always the first season's always going to be my favorite.
I really like season 1 because it was really just getting to know all the characters and being introduced to everyone. And I love the whole storyline of everything that happened with the CDC.
Although it was the introduction, and they did do the season finale, which wasn't in the comics, by the way. There was no explosions going off anywhere.
Because it's just an emotional season where everyone gets to know each other.
But I also really love season 3 because it was just so action-packed and filled with so much like adventure and zombie killing and just so much fun.
It was just an emotional.
Season 1 was the best because it's just the initial shock of what's going on, and we have no idea who these actors are, and they're just killing the script.
My favorite episode would have to be in season 3 when they went in to get Glenn and Maggie back from the governor.
Probably the episode, it was the season finale of one of the seasons, and it was the one where Shane dies and Rick ends up killing him.
My favorite episode was the episode when Carl took out Shane.
My favorite episode would definitely have to be one of the final ones from season 3. I think it was called This Sorrowful Life.
My favorite episode was the first one because I didn't know what to expect from it.
Just went in, guns blazing, took down everything, stealth ops. It was just awesome. And they knew exactly what they had to do. They went in, whistle shown, and got out.
It was just filled with action. It was filled with intense storyline. And it's best known for Merle dying and for Daryl having to kill the zombie version of his brother, which was super emotional. I personally cried during that episode, and I just felt like it was everything that The Walking Dead is combined in one episode, and it just reached so many fans and viewers' hearts, and I just think it was an amazing episode and really well done.
I think for me that was a really big turning point where you would see the changes in Rick would happen. And the story went into kind of a different direction. It was like that first chapter kind of closed and it was going to go into a different direction once Shane left the group.
Seeing Rick in a coma and then waking up to the zombie apocalypse, it just sucked me in. And I became a fan instantly. When he was wandering around the hospital, then when he went outside, it kind of like shocked me as it was shocking him. So I could kind of relate to him in a way. And it just made me want to watch more and learn more about it, the whole Walking Dead universe.
By far, my favorite character would have to be Carl.
I would say my favorite character would be Daryl.
My favorite character originally was Rick.
My favorite character is a toss-up between Dale and Rick.
Say Rick would be cliche. I'd say Michonne.
He's badass. I mean, look at him. He grew up in this world. This is going to be his whole world right now. Like, so he knows how to handle business.
You know, he was a badass at first and everybody liked him because he was such a tough guy. But he showed, you know, human qualities as he went on, that he cared about people.
I felt like he was such a strong, heroic figure that just everyone loved, and I fell for him too. But eventually I felt like he kind of strayed away from the good guy, kind of, and I feel like he was just so, he kind of turned crazy seeing Laurie's ghost all the time in season 3 and just kind of strayed away from being that normal, cool, heroic guy.
I would have to go with Rick, just because he's such an OG, old gangster. He takes over things, you know. Even though he's a little crazy, he still gets the job done and he tries to protect the group. And he puts his life in front of the others in the group.
But she's better in the comic than she is in the TV show. They kind of downplayed her. But yeah, I think Michonne.
Everybody wants to be that cool guy of the group, and he embodies that too. He's a nice guy, but he can kick your ass at the same time.
And I kind of started falling for Glenn as my favorite character because I feel like he really became more of a heroic figure in the sense that he's just this normal guy here in the zombie apocalypse, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to him in that sense, and I really started to like him.
My least favorite character would probably have to be Lauren because she was just so whiny.
My least favorite character, if you would have asked me this a while ago, would have been Carl.
My least favorite character was definitely Lori.
My least favorite character is Dale. He was just whining.
Least favorite character.
And she didn't contribute anything to the group. She just, and between, she just kept Rick back, and even still now, she's popping up randomly.
I think in the first season or two, he was just a whiny little brat and just didn't really do anything to me. I couldn't wait for him to get off the show. So he was, but it changed as the season went on. I ended up liking the character Carl. I like him now. He's growing up, and you're seeing how a young boy grows up in this zombie world that they live in.
Rick's wife.
I feel like she was completely annoying and irritating. She contributed absolutely nothing to the group. She caused a lot of problems between Rick and Shane in season 1, and I just feel like she was just annoying and she was not a necessary part of the show.
The whole time, and I didn't see any purpose for him being there other than to be the lookout and try to fix the RV.
Now, I would say my least favorite character would have been Andrea. Just how she slept with the governor. She would go back and forth with the group. Season 3 was pretty much surrounded with her and the governor, and I just thought she was just very whiny. I understood when her character died. I felt like you understood the character after it was all said and done. All she wanted was peace, and I understand where they're going with it, but she was just very whiny and annoying during the whole, to get to that part. It was like, make a choice, stop sleeping around, and just get off my TV.
So I was happy when he left.
I hated her.
My favorite bad guy would probably have to be Merle. I mean, because you started off hating him because he's just an asshole to everybody.
I would say my favorite bad guy would have to be Merle. I like bad guys that have, and we've talked about villains of the Joker in The Dark Knight, Anton in No Country for Old Men. I think the best villains are those with no redeeming qualities that will fight you, kill you, hurt you, destroy the world with no care whatsoever.
My favorite antagonist was definitely Shane. I feel like he's a very underrated character. A lot of people just hated him just to hate him.
Merle, definitely Merle, even though he wasn't in the comics. And he was only in the first, I think, 2 episodes in the first season. This last season, he had a really big role, and I really enjoyed watching him perform.
The governor.
Well, but by the end of season 3, before he dies, you just grow to love him, and you know why he does the things he does. It's all to protect his brother Dale.
Once he had that weapon, that blade on his hand, I mean, you talk about the most badass weapon. I mean, just stabbing the guy, and that's it. So I thought Merle was my favorite villain.
I feel like he really added a lot to the show. The fact that he caused so much drama between Rick and Lori, and even how he tried to become a father figure of Carl, I feel like added a lot of tension to the show, and I just feel like he was a really cool villain and just kind of someone everyone loved to hate.
I enjoyed how he transformed himself from being a bad guy to ultimately a good guy in the end.
He was pretty... It's like he's one of those characters that they're so smart and so good at what they do. You hate him, but you can't help but not hate him. It's so weird, but it'd have to be the governor.
My favorite zombie kill would have to be probably the very first episode.
Only because this is fresh off the top of my head from the episode that happened, was when Beth finally did something.
My favorite zombie kill occurred halfway through season 3. It was when Glenn and Maggie were being held captive by the governor.
Oh man, favorite zombie kill would have to be from the second season when there's one really huge obese zombie stuck in one of the water wells.
The one where the governor and Rick were meeting up in the barn, and Daryl and one of the governor's men had the face-off.
Rick kills, I mean, it's a little girl as a zombie, and you wouldn't expect it, but it's just so shocking that it has to be my favorite kill.
I was waiting for her to finally do something to the show instead of taking care of Rick's baby. with Lori, and she finally did a zombie kill. I remember they closed the gate, and she just went up to it, and she stabbed the zombie. I was so happy that she finally did something besides just doing nothing all of the time. So that was my newest favorite zombie kill, was when she finally did that.
Merle released a walker into the room while Glenn was literally tied to a chair. And Glenn had to fight for himself, and he managed to completely impale and kill that walker using the leg of that chair. And it was bloody and gory and fabulous, and I loved every second of it.
Glenn had to go down in there and try to get him out, and he couldn't do it. He got tied up in a rope, and so they started dragging his body out of the well, and basically his huge, grotesque body split in half from the rope and the pressure on the rope, and half of his body went into the well, and the other half fell out onto the ground.
Daryl got him when he took out the knife and just headshotted him, and he didn't talk smack after that. He's like, that was pretty dope.
It'd have to be a tie between Sophia and maybe Merle. Like, Sophia obviously is one of the saddest deaths because they just spent forever looking for her. And then when you finally find her, there's nothing but you can do but kill her. And Merle is, as soon as you grow to actually like him, is when he dies. You finally actually sort of connect with Merle, and then they just kill him off.
I think the saddest death on the show was Sophia to me. The group had tried so hard, it felt like, to look for her. And when the anticipation, you kind of felt like you knew she would become a zombie, but you were hoping it wasn't going to happen when they finally found her. I just remember when they opened the barn door and she slowly came out. You got chills because you heard the voice, and then when Rick had to make the decision to kill her, I mean, it was heart-wrenching. I mean, you felt like you were there.
Okay, the saddest death, I would say, is definitely a tie between Sophia and T-Dog. Poor Sophia, this little innocent girl, I feel like that just killed everyone to watch. That killed me to watch. I mean, she's this little innocent girl in the zombie apocalypse. Like, it was so emotional. T-Dog was almost even harder. It was such a fun character and such a funny character to see on the show, and it was just awful to see him get bit and killed, and again, I cried watching that, and it was awful.
Saddest death for me was seeing Merle die, and having to see him in zombie form and his brother Dale killing him. But I think the one that impacted me the most was seeing Sophia coming out of the barn in season 2, and Rick ending her zombie life. That one I think had more impact on the whole group compared to Merle's death.
Saddest death would have to be Sophia. Well, I mean, as soon as she went missing, I figured she was dead. But yeah, that was the saddest. I think second runner-up would be the death of Rick's wife, though. That was pretty sad, even though I hated her.
My prediction for the future would probably have to be that everyone knew from Woodbury is probably not going to survive. I'm just saying, most of the people they recruited was like elderly or disabled type people, so I don't have good prediction for them.
Well, first off, I think Herschel's definitely going to die eventually. I mean, the guy's got one leg. If they're in a zombie raid, he's going to go. I mean, it's just a matter of, when it's going to happen. I think they planted the seeds last season. I think eventually Rick won't be the leader anymore. Whether it's one of the guys from the group that they picked up from the other town the governor was in charge in, or if it's Daryl. So I think Rick eventually, because of what he's dealing with and the pressure and stuff like that, I could see him not being the leader, there being a power struggle there. Obviously another run-in with the governor is going to happen, so I think that they'll lead up to that again. Obviously he'll be in and out, and the one good thing about the show is you really don't know. From what I hear with people who read the comics, there's a lot of differences, so I think it's hard to predict where they're going to take the show. I think that's one of the reasons why they do that. They don't want you to just know the story for those that have read the comics. So I think that's why they're trying to be different. And I think the ultimate answer, this is all a dream. Rick is still in the hospital, and he's dreaming the entire thing, and he's just going to wake up, and Laurie's going to be next to him asking if he's okay.
So my predictions for the future of the show vary a lot. I feel like there's definitely going to have to be some sort of new villain. I mean, the governor is pretty much done and gone. He has no army left, so he's pretty much out of the picture. I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen with the prison group now because they brought in all those people from Woodbury. I'm a little nervous with that, though, because there are a lot of old people, and what are they really going to contribute to the group? I feel like they're only going to hold back our original cast. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what happens next season.
I have no idea where the show is going to go because they don't follow the comics per se, but I would have to think that the governor is going to definitely manipulate some people or find somebody to help him try to take out Rick's group. And I think with the comics that Rick and the group will prevail and they will defeat Negan, and they'll be tied in with other different city groups like the Kingdom.
They're all gonna die.